Hello everyone, I am Finnegan and I am here with teachers Lindsay Fisher and Stephanie Ross. Good evening, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
Today we are going to discuss the achievement gap in schools and what you plan to do in your own classrooms in response. For those of you watching at home, the achievement gap is the difference in test scores of students from different socioeconomic backgrounds. My first question is, how do you plan to directly address the issue of testing bias?
I plan to incorporate differentiation into my testing procedures. This includes choice boards, project-based learning, and embracing all learning styles. I want my students to showcase their learning in a way that best suits them. In an educational journal titled Closing the Achievement Gap by Detracking, I found that open-ended testing, just as I described, allows students to justify their answers, and then teachers are better equipped to understand the holes in their learning.
Thank you, Stephanie. Lindsay, what steps do you plan to take?
Culture plays a significant role in a student's education. As teachers, we need to do our own homework and get to know the culture of our student population. This allows us to avoid culture bias in our test questions. It also motivates the students because the material is relevant to their lives. Elizabeth Gromish gives a great example in her article, Standardized Testing and Culture Bias. She talks about asking an early childhood student to identify a picture of casserole. Not every home makes casserole for dinner. Therefore, the student would be unable to answer the question. As I learn the background of my students, I can incorporate their interests and norms into my testing material.
Now we are going to Skype conference with teacher Paul McBreen. Paul, after taking the girls' action steps into account, do you think there are any other important factors to consider?
Hello, Finn. I think there are many other factors to consider. Teachers often overlook the struggles that students face outside the classroom. Maslow's hierarchy of needs states that before learning can occur, a student must have their basic needs met. I recently read an article by Ronnie Reese that explained how a student's first priority isn't always education, but the day-to-day survival. This can account for the low test scores that contribute to the achievement gap. As teachers, we are not only responsible for providing children with education, but also support and safety.
Thank you all for your input. Hopefully we can start to close this gap and see all students succeed. Thank you all for watching.
Oh, wow.
No.
Words!
I read an article recently by Ronnie Reese called Minority Testing Bias Persistence. It
I
explains
learn the background of my students. I can incorporate